Okay, here we go. Tech with Jeff, where there are no scripts, there's only one take, and there's no editing outside of me cutting myself sitting down from starting the camera. So, the topic today, 1 year later with Clicks keyboards. I've been using them probably, I'd say definitely 12 months, but I got my first one in June of last year. So, we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to talk about it. I'm gonna really just tell the story, probably talk about each device, seeing that I've used each device and even Dremel the clicks to fit a Pixel Fold. So we can talk about every one of those, but we will start at the beginning, which is this thing. Ha. My clicks for Pixel. I'm sorry, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the beast, Founders Edition 2405. So I was one of those first people, I guess, probably towards the end of that, uh, into that. But this started. I remember being at dinner and getting the notification that said your item has been delivered. It was delivered late, so I got it when I got back from dinner, and I immediately put it on my iPhone 15 Pro, and probably thought what anybody else would think the first time they put a clicks on, and they go, "This thing is big enough to have its own gravitational pull." But used it through the night, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of liking this. I'm liking this. Does it justify the cost though? Because the Pro Max was $149, $159, whatever it was. So used it, and I remember reaching out to customer service maybe a day or two later and said I'd like to process a return. This is this is a bit obnoxious. And I believe it was actually Crackberry Kevin that responded to my support to my support request, and he said, "We'll honor the return up to 30 days, but you've had it for a day, so give it some time." And part of me was like, "Well, that's inconvenient." But then the other part of me said, "That's good customer service in the grand scheme of things. That's good customer service." Now, I will preface, probably like I should have done at the beginning, is this is my first video I'm really ever making. So Clicks has no idea I'm doing this. I'm not being paid. I'm not sponsored, any of that, right? So I spent my money on every single one of these, except for the replacement one that I got for free because one of my buttons went out uh, on my Founders Edition. But followed them since the beginning, and I was like, cool buttons. I had a BlackBerry when I was in high school, so I was like, you know what? Let's give this thing a shot. Pro Max comes in. I start using it. I process the return. Right, we're caught up. I never requested a return again following that. I actually used the Pro Max. I used it on the Pro Max let's see, that would have been June. So all the way until Thanksgiving. And then I got that Android wild hair where I said, you know what, I want to try the Pixel and the S24 Ultra, and I jumped around a little bit there, but ended up in turn coming back to the Pro Max, and then to the next one, the 16 Pro, not the Pro Max. I realized as much as I love the wide buttons, the length was a little much. I've always had Pro Maxes for the same reason that I guess someone would buy a Clicks, where you get a Pro Max because you want the extra screen space, because you're doing work, you're trying to be productive and functional with your phone. And the keyboard eats into that. So after having the Pro Max with Clicks, I was like, this is a lot of space. Let me try the regular. I did like the regular, but I think I've thumbs are a little wide for, for the buttons on the regular. But after jumping back and forth to Android, because as a personal preference, I like Android better. I just do. I like the not all the tweaking and everything underlying, but example on the Pixel. I can go in and I can say, would you like this resolution or this resolution? And I'm like, I can't tell the difference. Just do the lesser resolution, save me the battery. I love having little options like that, being able to go into each, within the app settings. I'm sorry, the app notification settings. No, I don't want this one. I don't want this one. I do want this one. I don't want this one. I want this notification sound for this one, this notification sound for this one. I like being able to tailor it in that way. But 16 Pro, and I remember, I think I went to the same restaurant that I went to when the 15 Pro Max came in. And I had this the first night, and my wife was obviously making fun of me because, like, you went back to iPhone just because you wanted a button case again. And I said, yes, 100%. Absolutely. And one of the waiters there stopped me and he was like, he's like, do you like this? I see it all the time. I see ads and things like that. I said, only reason I have an iPhone is because of it. I used that for a bit shortly after, like very, very shortly after Android and Clicks, right? The release of Clicks and Android. A little coffee. Uh, the video that Clicks was coming to Android came out shortly after. Saw the Pixel. I was like, yes, Pixel. That's probably as close from an iPhone experience what I'm used to as I can get. But then they announced for Razr as well. And I was like, oh, Razr, that's interesting. I never had a Razr growing up, but the form factor size was very interesting. I probably watched that Mr. Mobile video with him unveiling the two 25 times at a minimum, just because it really did hit as a Android preference individual. It hit home. So I ordered this one. Ordered this one, right, for the Pixel. It came in. I used it, enjoyed it, but I was very curious. I was very, very curious what this experience was going to be like. Because I mean, you can't beat that form factor. That's probably where a bulk of the story lies. Because the iPhone part of the story is very straightforward. I had no options, right? I had to stick to these if I wanted the experience. Now I had two options on my preferred operating system. And I probably jumped back and forth between Pixel and Razr because I own them both for an extent for a while. I jump back and forth. So if you're doing eSIM on Pixel, it'll actually tell you each time. So if you delete one and then you come back and you transfer the eSIM and then you kick it back, it'll do like T-Mobile SIM 4, T-Mobile SIM 5, even though it's the exact same SIM that's coming back and forth. It actually gives you a count of how many times you went back and forth. 9 times between the two because they are that great individually, but that different side by side. The Pixel is definitely the more complete experience. It's the one where, it's more traditional in that sense. Cameras on the back, you set up your app screen the way you want in the front, whether you want to launch or you don't. It's pretty simple in that sense. The Razr was Cover OS. You can't really do much to Cover OS, but I loved the friction that it gave me to non-productive activities. Right? I still gave myself Instagram on the front screen, but looking at Instagram on a 4-inch screen versus looking at it on a 6.9 or a 7-inch screen, whatever the internal for the Razr is very, very different. So I found myself less time on the phone with the Razr, better messaging experience by a long shot, like from a just pick up, text, send an email, quick kind of things. The Razr puts everybody else to shame. But the couple of moments where you're like, oh, I just need to get in there real quick. I just need to find an app. I put Nova Launcher on my Pixel because of the way that it works with clicks. So you start typing on your keys, right? You open it up and you go straight into Outlook, right? Or Gmail. You start typing G, M, A, and it pulls up your app drawer automatically and it just starts searching and you can enter to open it. Very similar to Spotlight on iPhone. So I ended up being pulled back to the Pixel just because it felt like a more ironed out end-to-end experience, whereas Motorola's software was a little not iffy, but just not nearly as polished. right? Kind of, and I don't know how many Razrs we are in at this point, but from a cover OS perspective, I'm like, this just, I don't think this is where it really needs to be. So I stuck with the Pixel, but I've got Founders Edition, I've got 16 Pro, Pixel 9, and then Razr all here and using them all. And I guess not putting a bow on it, but talking about, I mean, obviously, right, I've found to really enjoy the button experience and the little functionality that comes from the buttons. And it's not like you even type faster. I think anybody who says you're going to type faster is, I think it feels faster, but it's not. You don't actually type faster. It's the tactile feedback, it's the experience that I think has really reeled me in. I think I could be just as productive without it, but having the buttons on it makes me want to be more productive. Holding the phone like this and fingers on the buttons makes me want to go, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do now where I can use these buttons versus, scrolling through something? Uh, so it makes you want to use it because it's actually an enjoyable experience and it's very well built. Now, I guess talking about each device individually, right? All up, yes, clicks. I'm very much into it. Uh, I don't see myself moving away from it at this point. I just like what it does to my phone from a function perspective, and having something to click on again, tactile experience. That's a big reason why I went to the Pixel years ago. Was the haptic feedback was just by far the best. Like it replicated that button feel. So each device individually. We talked about the Pro Max. It's in my opinion, right? It's just a beast of a device. It's just huge. Uh, Now you back pocket it, buttons out. It's great, but I mean it's it's hanging out of your pocket. The Pro, regular Pro, I think is a much better, and in my experience, if someone just says I really want to use clicks and I want the best out of box experience, it's the iPhone. The iPhone has the best out of box experience. You don't have to download a launcher. You don't have to do anything with Keymapper. You put the iPhone in the clicks and you immediately get access to what, in my opinion, is iPhone's best feature, which is using Spotlight with clicks. Like iPhone's best feature, because you Spotlight on an iPhone, you pull down, I think you pull down, you get Spotlight. With clicks, you press the search key and hold, and then the space bar, which you can do with one hand. So search space bar, type two letters, right, to what app you're going to, and then hit enter. So you never have to reach to do anything. Completely changed the way I use my iPhone. And I've been trying to emulate that experience with my Pixel. So most complete experience, I'd say by a long shot. The Pixel, I'd say, is the very nice middle ground between quirky, fun. It's a little, everybody, way less people have Pixels, right? If you like the individual aspect of it, it's that nice middle ground between individuality, uniqueness, and still the I guess traditional clicks form factor, which is the checkbook style, right? You have a lot of screen space and a keyboard at the bottom. Now, even though I don't have it anymore, the Razr is the one that I just cannot seem to put to rest. Sounds dark, but I cannot leave it alone. Even after returning the phone, I look at it and I'm like, 2 weeks go by and I'm like, I miss that. I miss the form factor, especially. I miss just the messaging experience. It's a wider setup. The buttons are way nicer. Uh, I consistently find myself being pulled back to the Razr for the reasons that I just said, and then probably my inner Ari Gold, if you've seen Entourage, on the berry, on his BlackBerry, hammering out emails, calling people. It makes you feel, I don't know. This kind of has that executive feel to it. So That's everyone. I think I gave a little bit of context. Obviously, leave questions or anything if you've got it. I've used every one of these for at least a month. I'd say the Razr probably about a month. The Pixel, ever since it came out, I actually never got rid of the Pixel after it came out. Just swap back and forth a little bit. So whenever Razr Clicks for Pixel came out, I have had it in my possession and on, whether my SIM card was in it or not. iPhone, obviously, being the longest experience there, just because it's been out the longest. I think this is, if you know anybody that has an iPhone and does a lot of work from their phone, I actually think it's a great gift because you can take it off, right? You're working on, you're doing something from your phone, you want the extra space, pop the thing on. You're done, you're going to the pool, right? You're going to be eating, right? There's crumbs, grease, whatever it may be, water. Take the thing off. It's a really, really nice tool. So now the Frankenstein, my Pixel Fold, which in my opinion is the best form factor of any device. And I wish there was just this front screen and I could put a clicks case on it, because I think that it's like 5.8 or something like that on the front screen. It's a little bit wider. You get wider buttons. I'd really like that. But I dremeled up a 15, it's not pretty, 15 Pro Max case just to fit, set that there, just to fit my Razr in it. Or I'm sorry, my Pixel Fold in it. And I go to keep typing, and I mean, it jump right in and it works. I mean, it's goofy looking, but the form factor of this is actually probably what I would prefer. It's not super tall, but I still get wide buttons. I really don't care if it unfolds personally. Um, that's more of just, I would rather have a Pixel Fold as a tablet personally, just because it folds up. I can tuck it in a laptop bag or a backpack way easier than I could carry around a computer and a tablet. But another topic. So clicks, I guess from a recommendation standpoint, yeah, I think you get it. I think you have a really hard time going back because you get used to an experience. You get used to feeling buttons again. I gave I gifted one to my brother-in-law and my sister. My brother-in-law does a lot of work from his phone. My sister does not do much work from her phone whatsoever. And I said, when you put it on, 5 days. Don't take it off. 5 days. Get used to using it. The first day or two are gonna be tough. Power through, right? You have to pick up the muscle memory. It's not like it's torture, but you have to learn how to use real buttons again versus almost no feedback and no pressure to click on a screen. Neither one of them have taken them off at this point, and I believe it's been near closing in on a month. And 5 days in, my brother-in-law texts me. He goes, I don't think I can go back. And this is someone who never had a BlackBerry. So I think it's just proof that buttons still, like, from a phone experience thing, it is really, really nice. And not to mention, this is nice because you can just take it on and off. So from a recommendation standpoint, yeah, I'm all for it. I probably recommend it to just about anybody. Downsides: way more polished on the iPhone than it is. And that's not necessarily a downside. It's a prop for the iPhone, but I'm getting there. They changed the key layout going from iPhone to Android, which is a bad thing if, let's say, two phones are a similar width and you feel like having a little fun with it, like I did with the Fold over here. You can't update the firmware in the Clicks app because the key arrangement will be different. So so you have to be aware of that. But also, I mean, they're making particular layouts for different phones. Um, Google does not have as much built in right out of the gate. Like on iPhone, you can do the whole clicks mode. You can incorporate the shortcuts. You can click key to double tap something and it'll launch. It'll send a text. It'll open an app. It'll do something like that. I had it before where I hold the clicks key and I double tapped F, open my fantasy hockey app. So I could go straight into the scores. I didn't have to find anything. Not nearly as polished on Android as it is on iPhone. Now, specifically with the 2025 Razrs, which I know has been addressed between the Clicks podcasts that have been done and messaging on the Reddit, but it's not nearly even less polished on the Razr. But the messaging experience and how great that is makes up for the difference in my opinion. But you don't go from iPhone to Razr and expect the clicks out of the box to work the same. It takes a little bit more legwork at that point. So yes, recommend. No, not a being redundant. I recommend it, even with some of the downsides or things that aren't polished yet. And obviously, keep in mind this is a company that is a year and a half, a year and change old, maybe just over a year and a half old. Like there's going to be things that are ironed out from a startup company. I think you have to keep that in mind. It's not Apple that rolled out the keyboard and it is not nearly as polished as they would like it. Like we're talking about a young company dealing with hardware and a team of I don't know 20 plus people maybe in total. I'm not sure. Uh, question for their HR. But overall, yes, get one, try it, 5 days. That's my ruling. It's totally not for everybody. But I think you get used to it, you're going to have a really hard time going back. Hope you enjoyed it. No editing, no script, just one take.